See, I'm real picky when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, when you know the rules, or when you've been educated on formal dress, things like, it could be little things like a guy buttoning all three of his buttons on his three-button jacket.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or even a guy wearing
the last button.
Yeah, Who's bad? Who's bad?
You. With my Chanel pen. All right, welcome everybody to the Speak Your Life podcast. My name is Andre Flew. I'm your host. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Hit us up on Instagram at SpeakYourLYFE because life without your Y is meaningless. Today, special guest we have up here in Columbus, Ohio, and these guys have been in the clothing and fashion industry and have had a lot of experience and years put in the game, and are looking to make some waves and disrupt the industry. So please welcome Brady and Armaan. Welcome to the show, y'all.
What's up, guy? How you doing?
Hey. Just speak loud. Yeah.
I need to feel a little closer. It's alright.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to share that one. But anyways, so y'all ready to speak y'all life?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So here in the podcast, we talk about like the journey that everybody goes through, like going from the day you were born to knowing why. So talk a little bit about that journey. For you can start Armaan, and for y'all who don't know, Armaan is my OG cousin. And so talk about when you're born. Even if you don't want to give the year, you can give like what was popping, like what was pop culture like around the time you were born, and give us that journey to why you feel like you were born, what your purpose is.
What was pop culture? Yeah, what was pop culture when I was born? Like in 1987 I was born, so that's Michael Jackson and Prince, and probably at the height of their games as pop and rock and the constant back and forth. Maybe Crystal Pepsi was a thing at that point. I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah. Or as you're like a little kid, what was like some cartoons or like popular things?
Oh, I mean, I grew up watching Power Rangers. I swore I was a ninja for.
Oh God, yes. Really thought he was.
I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't eat.
That
I
was
wouldn't
so weird.
have my face covered all the time. I swore I was a ninja. Then life just rolled on, and next thing you know, I'm working in retail out of high school, working my way through culinary school and trying to figure out life at that point, and realized that the culinary path had just burned me out for so long, and I dropped out of culinary school and said, okay, what next? And I was basically threatened with my life to figure it out or get out. So, it just continued to work in the fashion industry, and it turned into something I was really good at, and just started to own it even more. And next thing you know, I'm working with Nordstrom for almost 10 years, and
Wow.
and I decided to walk away and take a chance on myself. At that point, I was making a lot of money at Nordstrom at this point, selling suits. Who would have thought you would make more than $40,000 over that? I was making way more than that at that point. But helping some of the most famous people in the local Central Ohio area, a few government officials and civic leaders outside of Ohio.
LeBron James, to name a few.
I wish. I helped him once at Macy's years ago.
I heard the encounter wasn't so friendly.
It was a very quick encounter. Like, hey, where's your hats? I was like, I don't got any, and he just dipped out, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. Okay. Ohio State players.
Yeah, I've helped a few Ohio State players. I'm helping a few former Ohio State players now. It's just really grown into a blessing. Along the way, when I took that chance on myself, I worked for another custom clothier first,
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran into, somehow me and Brady connected, and you know, one day we met up over coffee and was like, okay, what's the game plan? And he told me the game plan. I said, all right, count me in. And you know, a year later, we're Prestige.
Nice. So Brady, tell us about your story.
Let's see.
When you were born and that journey to like why you were born.
Well, I was born in '92.
Mm-hmm.
So pop culture was just a little bit different than '87. You got things like Rodney King had just gotten beaten the year before.
Yeah.
Jordan's working on the second ring in '92. Cartoon Network just gets founded in '92. So we're kind of like on the brink of going into everything as we know it today.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pretty cool upbringing. Warren, Ohio, small country city. I think what got me into the clothing was just seeing my uncles and my dads and everybody dressing clean and everybody ready to go out on Sunday nights, and they got their suits and they Lincoln Continentals and everybody on fur coat, jerry curled out, and you know, it's what I was used to. And that just stayed with me even when we came down to Columbus. So way I started is when I was in college, this was maybe 2012, I had started interning for another custom clothier. Well, I first originally started working at K&G. I'm probably 17 at this point, just working for Christmas. Me and my cousin start a t-shirt line, and I end up selling a t-shirt to a guy who owns a custom clothier business. So I sell him a t-shirt, we get to talking, he tells me what he does, and I'm infatuated. And when I moved to Cincinnati for college, he allows me to intern for him, and it just took off from there. So I got to work with a lot of players in Cincinnati Bengals, some coaches. Started to make a name for myself in Detroit, right around when Oxygen released that show, The Preachers of Detroit.
Okay.
I was the one that helped dress Bishop Don Shelby, Bishop Lance, some of those guys out there. And then started my own firm last year. Got to rapping, and that's how it happened. And now, a year later, we're here at Prestige.
That's right, man. That's awesome. And so tell everybody out there, because I feel like a lot of people out there, you know, they know what custom suits are, but maybe they don't know the lingo of like what exactly is a clothier. Like, how would you explain that to somebody who's just like not really versed? Because they, you know, they just think it's all the same. Like, oh, this guy's a fashion designer. Like, you know, I met Dapper Dan. He's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a different, you know, Dapper Dan is a whole different wavelength, and part of, you know, as I grew into this fashion, part of why I took my path, just learning about that man and everything he went through. But so yeah, there's levels when people, because right now, custom, bespoke, these are all flashy catchwords a lot of companies are using. Especially bespoke, you hear that a lot. Oh, I own Truth Bespoke. I own 1923 Bespoke. You hear that bespoke. The problem is a lot of people don't really know what bespoke means. They know this guy, like you go in, you pick a fabric, and a suit's getting made. But there's very much levels to this game. Like so there's, you know, your suit that you go to a Nordstrom or Men's Warehouse and buy off the rack, and then there's then you have what's called made to measure. That's when you're at a Nordstrom or Men's Warehouse, and you know, you're going through these fabric books. You're going, man, I really like, you know, I want to make a suit with this fabric. So what they're doing is they're taking a pre-existing model, like they all have their standard model, like Hart Schaffner has the New York, and you take your measurements. You don't even take your measurements. You take the alterations that you would do to a suit off the rack, and you would tell the factory. So they make it they make their model with the alterations done. So it's a pre-existing pattern that you adjust properly. Okay. That's what a lot of companies are doing, who call themselves bespoke. You know. And then you have custom, which is what we do. Which is we take your full body measurements, and the pattern of the suit is made based off those measurements. And then you have the next level, which is true bespoke, which is laying a pattern on you, cutting the pattern out, then creating the based. It's called basting, which is all the which you start putting together, the canvassing and cutting the pockets, and then you have another fitting. Once the basting has been done, then you take the measurements off of that, then make the new adjustments until your suit is complete. That's where a lot of people, I always tell people, if you only have 1 or 2 fittings, it's not bespoke. And on top of that, if the same guy who didn't measure you isn't the one cutting your fabric, it's not true bespoke. A lot of, again, it's a flashy word a lot of people want to throw out, and I've had to educate a lot of people, which, you know, I guess a lot of people don't like me now for it, but at least I'm gonna tell you I'm giving an honest product for what I do.
Yeah, people don't like the truth, but so Brady, so tell me about, like, whenever you just get everything started, like, what was going into your head? Walk us through that moment where you're just like, all right, I want to start this company, and this is how I'm going to distinguish this brand from, like, maybe what else is already out there.
Well, I think one of the benefits I had was that I was able to actually intern for a company that did exactly what I was trying to do. So I was able to see business models. I was able to see how we operated, how we moved, pricing, fabrics. I was able to see the whole operation and take a part of what I liked, what I didn't like, what I saw worked, what I saw didn't work. So when it came time for me to start my own operation, I was comfortable. I was confident. I believed I knew what I was doing. I know I didn't know it all, but I knew enough to know this is how we're going to start. This is what our price point should be. These are the kind of fabrics we're going to use. Let's reach out to X, Y, and Z mill. We're going to use this for manufacturing. We're going to use this for a tailor. Just having the experience in the industry before is what gave me a lot of confidence to just go ahead and launch, because I was comfortable in that environment in the first place.
Yeah, wow. And so, like, you said you worked how many years as an intern? Like
3 years.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And so did you, like, in college, did you, like, study anything that kind of pertained to that, or you just, like...
No, my college story is a funny story. I went to college. I originally went to Urbana University, and then I transferred to the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the program I wanted to do was going to be too long, so I pretty much just did the quickest degree, and that was communication. So it really didn't necessarily have anything to do with what I was doing, but it was just a way for me to get that degree.
Okay.
But all during the meantime, I was still studying on my own, looking at fashion, studying fashion, making friends with people that were in the fashion program at the University of Cincinnati, just still submerging myself in it. I just wasn't officially studying it under the official degree.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting how that works. Like, 'cause I know for myself it was, like, different. I was studying business, but I was informally studying communication.
Right.
I was reading, like, all these random books, how to talk to people, body language, and then the professor's like, "Are you sure you want to study business?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like looking at these books, you're reading this for fun. Like, people are reading this, you know, for a grade. So, like, it's like that's how you know what your passion is, whenever you're doing something out of the fun of it, and then eventually you make money off of it. And so, what would you say, like, are some, like, as you guys have, like, kind of gotten more into this game of fashion, what would you feel like, or what would you say are some misconceptions in this industry that you kind of, like, learned or dispelled as you've gone through this business?
I mean, I think my biggest early misconceptions, especially working in retail a good amount of my life, and people being shocked that I was good at it and being straight. Like, people me to being a straight black male that's good at this. People are like, that's you know, people run with that constantly, that this is either a female's game or a gay male's game. It's like, it's not. It's just whoever has the eye for it. And you know, that's been a very interesting preconceived notion. Either they immediately think I'm gay, or
the hair and
like, well, yeah, like, you know, because I have a very eclectic taste of everything, whether it be my hair or my clothes or whatever. Ain't nobody stunting out there. You know, just everyone always asks, you know, what's your inspiration? I'm like, I don't know. Ask me tomorrow, because it's it's never the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through every phase under the sun, a grunge phase, the Ed Hardy phase, all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that's always been just constantly people. I've had people just say, "Oh, you can't be good. You're a male and you're straight." I'm like,
okay.
all right, well, I'm the number 2 salesperson in this building, so F off. Yeah, when they realize that they look great and they've received the greatest experience that they've had working with someone, then they're believers. You know, that's just what I try when I'm working with you, whether it was on the retail front or where we're at now. You know, I always do my best to make sure you get the best experience, because especially in this industry, people have bad experiences in the custom clothing industry. There's a lot of fly-by-night companies. There's a lot of guys who will measure you, take your money, and they're gone. Or they take your money, your suit doesn't come out right, and they say, "Oh well, you got to pay for another one," because you know this isn't a big overhead business. So you know, a lot of people go, "Oh, what's the markup?" Like, you know, the markup comes just to cover the cost more than anything. So with that, you know, when you're paying a deposit, you're legit covering most of the cost of for it to be made. So you know, and I get it a lot of times why these companies, you know, it's not good to do, but I get it at times. Like, I would never say I'm not remaking it or I'm not going to fix it. A lot of companies do that, because then you're having more overhead costs now. We're not overhead now. You have, I've got to remake it, I've got to fix it, you know, and if you're measuring properly, and you know, and it's all, again, unless you're doing that full bespoke where the same person who's measuring it is cutting it, there's going to be some level of human error. But any good company, you know, any good with great service should be there to fix it. And I've seen a lot of companies, like I said, I've had people bring me old suits, like, I just had this made by, you know, Black and Turtle. You know, that I'm not going to say that company's full name, because I've had a few
Don't want any
come from
legal issues going on around
here.
here.
They can try to sue me, and I'll tell them what they did wrong without working, but they would just lose.
Is it worth the trouble?
Right, but yeah, though, people bring me suits made from other companies, like, well, can you fix this? I'm like, and I'm looking at it and seeing all the mistakes made. Like, I had on this guy had to be 6'3", and the coat was touching his belly button, and they refused to fix it. I'm like, wow, who was doing that? And he's like, they told me it was in style. Bro, your belly button? Like, yo, you Shakira out here? Like, so yeah, that's it. Our industry does have a lot, because so many people have done people wrong, and they refuse to fix it, because again, it can be an expensive mistake. Whether a tailor is charging you to completely recut a suit, or you have to go back and remake it yourself. So, but again, if you measure right, you know, you're going to eliminate most of those things to begin with. And it's why you measure twice, cut once. That's why that's a phrase.
Wow. So Brady, what do you feel like are some misconceptions that you kind of encountered? I know Armaan talked about, you know, being a straight male and kind of like not getting the respect at the beginning, but then they see the work that he's put in, and they realize that, okay, this man actually has talent. He actually has an eye for this. What do you feel like is another misconception in your experience?
I think with my experience, it was more than anything just me being so young. Like when I started 2012, I was 20 years old. Typically, you're a clothier, you're a tailor, they're older gentlemen. They're guys that have spent 30, 40 years in the business that know it. And it's always been a little skepticism, like, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're talking about. or you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the business. You're just too wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest hurdle I've had to come against.
Mm.
But I think the biggest way to come over that is just show them you know your stuff. When I can sit down and talk intelligently about wool and micron count and fabric mills and the difference between flannel, the difference between carded flannel and long stem flannel and things like that, and when they really break down the knowledge, then it's they're convinced that okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. We'll give him a chance.
Yeah. Wow. And so, as you guys have been growing, like, what are some, I don't know, some states that you guys, because I know, obviously you guys are in Ohio. Where are some other places you kind of like did business with and you're expanding with, like other states or, because I know y'all mentioned like California or you're doing business.
Yeah, we will be soon with someone. With
some
a couple
NFL
people.
players. Possibly.
Yeah, there'll be, hopefully that will happen. But we'll be dressing guys for the NBA draft coming up. So, one of us will be in Philly, the other will be in Orlando. We're in Detroit often doing business.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we'll go wherever. It's never, no, like telling someone that we're not coming to see you isn't an answer.
No.
Unless just the dates are completely off. But we make it work either way. But yeah, we hop on the road like it's nothing. Yeah, we'll hopefully if things go right in the 5-year plan is to even be in Toronto. So.
Wow. So what made y'all pick that market in Toronto? What was something about it?
Just the opportunity to work with some good people up there. And just Toronto is just a huge market anyway. So that is a lot of people sleep on the fact that Toronto is a huge fashion hub over the last, especially in menswear.
Wow.
A lot of suits are made in Canada. So there's a couple really great mills up there. So.
No. Yeah, because I think when people talk about like fashion, the capitals they think of is like Paris, maybe London, New York, LA. What are some other fashion hubs that people are like kind of like slept on, or just like, I don't know, the hidden gems that you guys as insiders might know about?
I mean, Columbus is growing every day. Columbus is ranked 3rd in fashion for who's based in Ohio more than the fashion itself, because you have the Limited and Victoria's Secret. All of that is based here in Columbus. Abercrombie's headquarters were here for the longest before they split from Limited. Express, a lot of their home offices are right here in Columbus, on top of a few other companies. So for that alone has ranked Columbus as one of the top fashion cities just because of that alone. The fashion itself, like your everyday street fashion and everyday wear, that is growing itself. There's a lot of other local designers that are really starting to grow. OSU, at CCAD's, the Columbus Fashion Week is one of the only non-profit fashion weeks in the world, benefiting designers who have come out of CCAD. Like, I can't think of her name right now. She made a few things for Beyonce and Gaga. She's known for doing chainmail pieces.
Wow.
And yeah, she's had stuff in people's music videos. She's a CCAD graduate. So there's Columbus is very much on the map and constantly growing in the map. If the rest of the people of Columbus realize that and catch with that wave that's coming, Columbus can be on that massive scale one day.
Yeah. So like what would you say, like, when it comes to like fashion, obviously, like, what does a first impression mean to you? Like, how powerful is that to you? Like,
well, that first impression is everything. You never get second chances at a first impression. So how you dress, how you present yourself it's your resume. It might not tell me everything about you, but it'll tell me enough about you to know if I want to proceed in our interaction. Just from, even if it's not suiting, even if it's casual wear, no matter what type of dress you have on, whether it's day dress or evening dress, formal, casual, business casual, anything. It's how you present yourself is how you speak without opening your mouth. And a lot of times is when you're entering in new rooms where you don't know anybody, the first thing they'll know is they'll know how you dress before they know your name. So you want that first impression, that first split second, that first interaction to be lasting, and you want it to make a good impression. So how you dress and how you present yourself is everything.
Yeah. Were there ever, like, I don't know, moments where, like, middle school, I know for me, like, middle school was terrible at dressing. High school, terrible. Like, I think I started, like, picking things up around college where I realized that, oh, okay, maybe I need to change how I dress. My shoes need to look a little nicer. I didn't really start shining my shoes till I was in college. So, what would you feel like, I don't know, was that turning point? Was it high school for you? Was it college? Like, what was it for y'all?
For me, it had always been there. Just riding around with my uncles and their Lincolns and their Mercedes, wearing their suits and their gator shoes, just seeing how people responded to them and how they dressed.
Yeah.
It had always left a lasting impression on me that how you dress matters, and how you present yourself to the world matters. So it wasn't a singular moment. I've just always been raised with that integrated in my fabric, that you need to present yourself as well as possible.
Yeah, yeah. What about for you, Armaan? Was it always like that, or?
It kind of was, but in a different way, just because my mindset and look has always been different. I kind of laugh, especially in the last few years of men's fashion, when you a lot of guys do the purpose mismatch and pattern mixing and flashing. Like, I've always played with things like that, and you can't wear stripes and paisley, you can't wear it, and I was just like, whatever. You know, and just because I've always been a little different when it came to that. Like, even when I was little, I would change clothes 5 times a day just because.
I remember some pictures seeing that.
Yeah, like, so it's always been something there. I would say, I guess, in my post high school, college years is where it started to polish and turn into something, and even then, some days are still a hit and miss, just because I felt like doing something a little different. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, that's fashion for you.
Yeah. Wow. And I guess, like, what would you guys say? I know I wouldn't call them rules, that there are, like, necessarily rules, because I feel like nowadays, in this 2020 era, people will kind of, like, break and make their own rules. Like, it used to be matching, but, you know, some people are, like, purposely not matching. Like, what are some of your personal rules that you have when it comes to fashion that you, like, all right, this is what I like, or this is what I feel like is well put together for me, in general?
Honestly, the only thing where I can say that I'm anywhere near a purist is suiting. Like, it bugs me when I see someone wearing a dinner jacket or a tuxedo for non-evening. Like, I was at a funeral once and a guy was wearing a dinner jacket, and I was so confused. It's like, why are you wearing a dinner jacket? Like, the dude had on a red paisley dinner jacket, like, full on satin lapel and everything. I was like, bro, what are you doing? This is like, that's not where you wear it. Like, those are the very few times where it actually bugs me to see something like that. But other than that, because I'm all about, like, if that's what makes you comfortable, go for it. And you know, like, I don't believe in a lot of rules, but that is one thing it bugs me every time. Like, like, I believe in evening wear for evenings. I believe in day wear for day wear. Even a few years, pajamas, like wearing pajama shirts as a regular shirt was a thing. And I mean, I'm kind of lazy, so I was kind of digging that, but at the same time, the one time I tried it, I was like, this is absolutely absurd, and never did it. But other than that, I'm very much if this really makes you comfortable and you feel confident in your choice, go for it.
I've seen, like, one of my friends I had to get on a meet. He was wearing, like, some tuxedo pants at this conference we went to. I was like, bro, what are you doing, man? You can't wear it. I mean, look, you can wear anything you want to, but I'm just like, that. You just don't do that. That's just like I feel like it just feels weird to see that. Just like, the dinner jacket at a funeral, or what is something that, I don't know, that bugs you whenever you're, I don't know, out and about, or you just...
Ooh, where do I start? See, I'm real picky when it comes to stuff that I mean, when you know the rules, or when you've been educated on formal dress, things like, it could be little things like, a guy buttoning all 3 of his buttons on his 3-button jacket.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or even a guy
The last button.
Yeah,
So, anyways, in this podcast, we talk about, like, if life is like a house and you have your foundation, like your principles and your morals or whatever like that, what do you feel like is one thing your house stands on? Like, what is, I don't know, what is one pillar your house stands on, your life stands on?
We stand on integrity, bro. We do what we say, and we say what we're gonna do. Yeah. There's a reason why this isn't prestige bespoke, because we're not bespoke, and we're never gonna sell it as such. We tell you what you're getting. We're not going to upcharge you domestic fabrics for Zania and tell you that it's Zania when it's not. We're gonna tell you what you're getting, and we're gonna stand on it. That's one of the biggest things. People will work with you if you're just honest with them.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make unrealistic expectations. No, we're never going to tell you we can get a suit done in 7 days, because we can't. We're not going to tell you we can get a suit done in 10 days, because we can't. I mean, we can, but we're not going to promise that, because we want to stand on what we say.
Yeah.
And I think that has been a lot of our, part of our success is that we do what we say we're going to do. If we quote you a price, we're going to give you that price. If we say we're going to do this fabric, we're going to do this fabric. And people respect us for it at the end of the day.
Yeah. What do you feel like is one thing that your house stands on?
Hard work, honesty and hard work. Like, I'm in my personal everyday life, I'm lazy, and I'll admit it.
Yeah,
Because
I know.
Because of honesty. But the minute I walk out that door, the minute I pick up this phone, the minute I open an email, I'm going to work my ass off, because that's what I'm here. Like, like, that's something I got from Granddaddy. Like, Granddaddy worked his butt off. Like,
Oh yeah,
I think
cold
part of it
Ohio
is-
winters,
right.
multiple jobs.
Part of it might be to get away from grandma a few times for a few extra hours, but
yeah.
but like no, that's like even your dad works his ass off,
Yeah.
Like, no, all right, like that's something that's just always been ingrained in us to do,
In the
and
family,
just, like fair, hard work, like put into it what you want out of it.
Yeah, I agree. And so this is going to transition us into the last segment of the podcast, where we just have question of the day. And question of the day today will be, if you could dress any celebrity, who would it be and why? For you, Armaan, who would it be?
I mean, The Rock is like one of my idols, so I guess I would say The Rock, or Eddie George or Ric Flair. Those are like my idols. I always tell me, like, and someone asked that in a different, someone asked that in a different, because that is always a question people, and I say this with the most honest of heart. I don't care who you are. If you're my client, you are my client. The fact that I'm dressing a celebrity is a plus. But at the end of the day, the most important person in my is the person standing in front of me.
Yeah.
So, as much as I would love to say I dress, because I have dressed someone. I've dressed the mayor of Columbus. I've dressed some of the most high-profile car lot owners in Columbus. Like, Columbus, is built on about 4 different families of car owners, and I can say I've dressed for 3 of them. Like I said, athletes. You work, especially working in high-profile retail like Nordstrom. You run into everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I've met so many people, and it's been awesome. Like, I've met Jadakiss randomly one night, and hey dog, let me get some jeans, and it was dope. But at the same time, I wasn't giving him 100% of my attention because I already have someone in front of me. Yeah. So
you're just another person at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then the most important customer is a customer who's in front of you, and I stand by that.
Yeah. Brady, what about you?
Celebrities? Ooh.
Yeah, like somebody that you're like, this is somebody I would like, like to do business with.
I think I have like a top 5 bucket list clients that I would like to get.
Okay, who's your top 5?
I think it would be Barack Obama.
Of course, yeah. That's a good one.
I would do Denzel.
Mm-hmm.
I would do Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Because he's just
Dave Chappelle.
comedic genius to me.
Yeah.
I would also do Ray Lewis if I could. Because he was always my idol playing football. Plus, I just like the way he dressed. Like, once he retired.
Purple suits.
Yeah. Even when he played, like, his dress was just spectacular. So I would do... Who do I have so far?
You said Barack Obama, Denzel,
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Lewis. And then number 5, I think I'll round it off as... that's a good question. Let me think. I'll probably do another person I find funny, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
If I could dress Eddie Murphy for something, I think.
I feel like it's a lot of leather.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy would be dope if I could dress him.
Yeah.
That'd be hard.
Nice. Yeah. If I were to do it, I'll probably pick Shannon Sharp. Like, I like Shannon Sharp, and I like how he dresses, and I'm like, I feel like, even though I'm not a professional, I feel like I know what he likes, because just seeing Skip and Shannon all the time, I can tell what is his style. But he's a great dresser, and I like him as a commentator too. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for joining today's podcast, and guys, be sure to check them out on. You can follow them on Instagram at prestige_custom_clothing, and I'll put that link in the description below. And you can also, book them if you are looking for a suit, whether you're going to a wedding, funeral, whatever the occasion is. Be sure to hit them up on Instagram. And again, we thank you so much for being on this episode, for joining us today. Subscribe to the podcast, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We want you to make sure you're subscribed and part of the Speaker Life community as we're growing. And also, the last thing is, if you are, you've been with the Speaker Life family and you want to become a patron supporter, we'll leave that link below as well. You can become a monthly supporter of this network, and whether it's as little as $1 a day. And anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. We'll see you on the next episode. Love you guys. Peace.